DICE just released a detailed blog post and developer video covering many updates and fixes they've been making for 2042, and honestly, it looks pretty good. Let's go over everything that's discussed and shown from this announcement. The development update video features lead community manager Adam Freeman and two lead devs Ryan MacArthur and Lars Gustafsson. It's broken up into specific topics, maps, modes, gameplay, and new content. We now have many of the details regarding what will be received in Season 1. Firstly, DICE confirmed Season 1 is launching next month and will kick off the game's Year 1 content cycle, which will offer 4 seasons that will provide 4 new specialists in total, 4 new battle passes, new locations, more weekly missions, portal rotations, and in-game store items. In the video, they stressed that the studio is committed to 2042's ongoing development, but they didn't say if that commitment will extend beyond the conclusion of Year 1's content or not. DICE also released a roadmap detailing roughly when Season 1, the upcoming map reworks, and Season 2 are scheduled for. Specialists are being reworked to adjust their visual appearance, voice lines, gameplay mechanics, and more. Excitingly, they did showcase Angel's new voice lines, and they are much improved.
Look at this serious team, hey? Let's have fun.
You need supplies? I'm your man.
Hazard Zone development is officially dead. Future maps won't support the mode, and DICE won't be doing anything other than fixing critical bugs for it going forward. Hazard Zone will remain online, but that's pretty much it. The blog post mentions that DICE are looking to add Rush as a permanent option in the All-Out Warfare mode during Season 1, which will see existing Portal modes joining the All-Out Warfare mode rotations. Now, the section of the video with the most concrete info is about the maps. Ryan MacArthur says he's particularly proud of the map launching with Season 1 since it's set in Canada and he's Canadian. And this lines up with the info that Temporeal data mined about the upcoming map as well. Now, the new map reworks that DICE are making progress on will roll out in late Season 1 around August. The first rework will be for Kaleidoscope. They show the changes and how they apply on the Conquest mode of the map, and they're pretty extensive. A handful of objectives have been moved and removed to suit the natural flow of the map better. DICE built the new cover with a greater emphasis on destruction as well. It's scattered throughout the map and consists mainly of new concrete barricades and debris. You'll find a lot of new cover specifically around the entrances and exits of buildings like the central data center. They're also adding 2 new points of interest, a forward operating base in the B sector and a new command and control base below the skyscraper at the G1 capture point. Aside from the new cover, DICE have also reworked much of Kaleidoscope's finer details. Terrain elevations have been adjusted to create more cover in open spaces. The pristine grass and foliage on the current version of the map has been trimmed or removed. It looks a bit more war-torn and dirty than before, though it's tough to say if additional grit and grime is being added around the map just in general. Some areas have all sorts of treads and debris scattered around them, while others look untouched like the current version of the map. A rework of Renewal is launching with Season 2. The playable area for Conquest has been redrawn to cut out a lot of the map's dead space and focus fighting along objectives. The general terrain of the map has also been overhauled to provide more cover and clear pathways between objective areas. These areas have been fortified with destructible concrete barriers. The battery farm area of the map between the solar array and control point has been simplified to reduce its sightlines. The area surrounding the central control point has also been reworked, with all of the existing cover being replaced by shipping containers and barriers. The interiors of the E sector's buildings have had a variety of new cover throughout to make defending and traversing the objectives a bit easier. The changes being made to Kaleidoscope and Renewal are reflective of DICE's design goals with future maps as well. That means a greater emphasis on cover, less barren spaces, and more focused gameplay. And this leads us into the modes section. The biggest takeaway here is that DICE have officially dropped the 128-player mandate going forward. Conquest will remain as a 128-player mode, but new maps will be built for fun first. Expect some future maps to offer fewer objectives and sectors. The removal of 128-player breakthrough is permanent. All future breakthrough maps will be 64 players or less. Now, the gameplay section didn't really offer many exact details about the new gameplay, but it did provide a look at changes coming during Season 1. As we know, specialists are being reworked, but DICE is refraining from announcing mechanical changes until they're closer to launch. They're focused on living up to the class-oriented experience specialists were originally intended to fill, but missed the mark. In the meantime, DICE are working on art passes for the specialists to make them fit 2042's tone and gameplay better. They highlighted McKay and Boris. Both have a more grizzled and battle-worn appearance. Voice lines are also being reworked with an emphasis on immersion. Future cosmetic items will also be more grounded and military-themed. These changes will go live with Season 2. DICE also shared footage of new third-person animations coming in Season 1 that look improved. Turning has been tweaked to separate the torso and legs of the character models. Currently, when you turn, the entire body of the character model turns simultaneously. The new animation has the torso rotate until it hits a limit, and then the lower half turns to catch up. Direction changes while running are also much clearer, with the character leaning into turns much more. DICE didn't reveal any new weapons or gadgets coming with Season 1, and we even combed through the video for anything that we might have missed. However, they did say they're cherry-picking weapons and gadgets from the Portal mode for inclusion in all-out warfare. That's in addition to new weapons coming with the seasonal updates. DICE touched on squad and team play improvements coming with Season 1, which will make it easier to squad up and stay together as a party. The blog post highlights these as UI changes, but it's unclear if that includes being able to create or join squads during a match. The final bit of the gameplay section concerned performance, especially for PC players. There wasn't much positive news here, but DICE is continuing to claw back as much performance as possible on all platforms. It just doesn't sound like it's going to be a dramatic shift at any one point, but probably more incremental changes over time. The video concludes with a section about new content, but it doesn't actually showcase or reveal anything new. DICE will officially announce Season 1 and all the content that it offers next month. So there's a huge amount of info here to digest. My first takeaway is that I agree with all of the changes that DICE are making, most of which seem to be following direct requests from the community. The news that they're bringing some of the Portal weapons over into the base game should really help flesh out the limited arsenal currently. This was a big community request, and it's good to see that DICE are on board with it. Now, I give DICE credit for willing to admit that Hazard Zone failed and that they're not going to support it anymore. Rather than avoiding the subject altogether, I think it's healthier to at least admit it and let people know that resources are going into the base game and not content for a dead game mode. It certainly doesn't excuse the rushed game mode, but as far as moving forward, I think it's the best route in my opinion. The map updates actually look really great and far more fleshed out than the original teases. The first stuff that we saw in previous blog posts was very minimal, which was concerning, but these new previews look much better and like DICE got the message about separating combat zones with more cover. The biggest disappointment is the time that it's taking for these map reworks. Kaleidoscope happening in August and not at Season 1's launch is disappointing, and the renewal rework coming in Season 2 is just painfully slow. I can only imagine that DICE is just short on talent right now because the rate of progress here is just so darn slow. The changes all look great, but I've seen DICE take a map from white box to final product in less time than these changes are taking, and it just really seems like they're strapped for resources. Secondly, updating 2 maps and not all at the same time is again super slow for what's needed. The Hourglass map in particular desperately needs some changes, and thinking that changes for that map are at least Season 3 away, if not further, is pretty painful. Now, overall, it is nice to see Lars, Ryan, and Adam talking Battlefield. I really do like all of those guys, and there was a bit more of an honest tone in messaging with the video, which I think comes across much better than just like a pure marketing video. That being said, it's going to be very hard to change the current narrative of 2042's development, but it's clear that they are trying. The slow rollout of updates is the toughest pill to swallow here. It seems that they have accurately assessed all the problems with 2042 and have solutions that look good, but the timelines are snail pace, and really all we can do right now as gamers is wait for change. Or more realistically, go play other games. 2042 is still going to be a wait and see project for a bit longer, but I'll be here to check it out when something interesting happens. Let me know your thoughts about all of this info in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.